Greetings and salutations. My name is Schwahn, and today we are checking out Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, a Ubisoft original. Isn't it actually pronounced Ubisoft? Whatever, it doesn't matter. So I really love that a full game in the Prince of Persia franchise was announced about 7 or 8 months ago, and it is a pretty faithful to the original Prince of Persia design, not the 3D games, but to the original design. And that has come out long before we have seen anything genuinely true about Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake that was supposed to happen, right? The remake of like the GameCube PS2 era Prince of Persia that was kind of 3D that everyone really loved a lot, that they were like, yeah, we're going to remake it. And then they're like, and we've run into problems, guys. And it's like, that's unfortunate. That sucks a lot for you, Ubisoft, you overinflated giant company. Anyway. And then they're like, what if we just made a different Prince of Persia game? And so they did, and it came out very quickly. And now we're here. And so we're here for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. And maybe they're just hoping we forget about the remake. I didn't forget. I don't actually care about that game whatsoever at all. I just think it's funny that that this is the situation we found ourselves in. But anyway, we can always talk about that later. So this is coming out very soon. Let's take a look at Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Here we go. It's got some Spider-Verse vibes in that animation. How hard would it be to actually sheath both those swords at the same time? Well, you're dead. How are you not dead? Like, genuine question, isn't the Prince of Persia basically just a dude? Like, he's just a human, ain't he? He's just a human with, like, magical artifacts. Think so, just a well-trained human. Yeah, and he got punched by a statue through a wall, and he's okay. Like, you know, he's like, well, that sucked. That kind of hurt. But he's not, you know, paced. Most normal people would be paced from either of those hits. Yeah, okay. Releases January 18th, 2024. All right. Sorry about that. Important phone call came through.
Our kingdom is cursed. The prince has been kidnapped and taken to a forbidden land. All hope rests with us, the Immortals, to rescue him and save the Empire.
Okay, something tells me if they're calling themselves the Immortals, that they're not just regular dudes.
Then again, they weren't prepared for me.
So this video is gonna get hit by content ID. What is people's opinions on video game trailers using like modern rock, hip hop, rap music? I've seen a lot of people start to push back against that, of like these like poppy, this is more rap / hip hop level trailer, but some people seem to really hate them.
In these times of darkness, hope is the only thing that keeps us fighting. I will fulfill my destiny and save the kingdom.
Nega Prince. Nope, I can't say that. I know I'm making a meme to Nega Scott from Scott Pilgrim, but given the situation, I really shouldn't say that. Anyway, moving past that fucking mistake, here is them talking about the development of the game.
We really want to bring an action platformer.
You dislike it, unless the artist writer made it specifically for the game. I've seen a couple of them that are pretty good when they're like really well cut, so that they're cut and edited to the music.
Games and our strong desire to be sure that this is a true Prince of Persia game.
Combat system, acrobatic, puzzle, narration. So we knew that because of our experience on Rayman, that we can bring such kind of experience in 2D, but the core experience is a Prince of Persia game.
Like, those trailers are fun.
Sargon is a brand new character in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. He's the youngest of the Immortals. The Immortals are an elite warrior team. They fought and won many battles together.
Let's go then.
An elite warrior team that won a lot of medals.
Is the one we have to rescue. That's one of the different surprises that you will encounter in The Lost Crown.
Oh, you aren't the Prince of Persia, you're rescuing the prince.
The adventure takes place. There's a curse. Time seems to be mixed up, doesn't follow anymore its natural flow. The story that one character will live will be different in terms of timeline than the story of his friend. So sometimes the consequences and the causes are mixed up.
How is that possible? They left not long before us.
The starting point was to immerse ourselves in the Persian culture and legacy, which is so rich. When you learn, you have a strong emotion, you are amazed. You want to translate that feeling to the players. A feeling of exploring something new. And we get our inspiration from real places, like palace or temple, and even some natural landscape, like the Iranian forest, which is a real forest.
We don't make very many grand statues anymore, do we?
In the franchise of Prince of Persia,
Not like the big ones.
Surprise the players, and
Yeah,
we have also
say that. I guess one gets
elements,
revealed
like
every few
platforms that
years.
Ask you to shoot to activate it. We think that for Prince of Persia, it's very important to have demanding platforming. We have level designers that are very expert of platforming because they worked on Rayman and things like that. And we also try to have gameplay elements that are unique. So like the bells, you have to shoot to reveal platform. When you create this kind of gameplay element, we have a lot of ideas, so you understand that you could do a navigation puzzle, you could do very tricky platforming, and even you could use it in combat. If you have enemies on it, you just have to shoot the bell and let the enemy fall in the spikes, things like that. I think the strength of our game is that we have characters that is really easy to handle, so we can easily mix combat and platforming.
Oh.
I like to compare everything
That one was a bit close.
to platforming and combat to a music partition. I see a half and quarter and whole everywhere. And that was something that we use a lot for the platforming and combat. You know, sense of rhythm. Freedom and creativity was the term that were defining the combat system. Everything is tied to a Sargon personality. He's like inventing his own movement. So it was really important to have the same approach.
That was a really cool effect,
the way
though.
he's moving and the
way that the color overtook the screen and there was like a negative effect placed on some of it. That looks sick.
Back in the days, Sand of Time had pushed the boundary standards with a nice and smooth animation. So of course, for the Last Crown, we are aiming the highest animation quality as possible. And the goal is to have a really smooth, challenging and responsive gameplay. All the gameplay animation is based on keyframe. Keyframe animation is the way to animate without motion capture. You create everything, actually. You just take the puppets, design the line of action, the nice shape of the character, and bring it to life. This allows us to masterize the timing and make it more cartoony. If you ask for two actors to grab one by the head and launch it, it's not just possible. So you can create everything with keyframe.
It's really important for us to make sure that this game is modern and respect players' cleverness. And
I wonder what the
that
cost
our players feel
difference
free to
is
decide what is their next
between
objective,
motion capture
because this is a
animation
genre
and
where you
keyframe
are
animation.
in, isolation. This is a feel that you had in the first Prince of Persia.
So it's very important to always give information to players. Sometimes it's obvious, like big gating and the big landmarks. Sometimes it's been more subtle. It lets the player discover the consistency of the world and how everything is connected.
What we have developed is a lot of things. A new lore, new characters, a new combat system, a new art direction, a new narration. So it's something very important to say that this team has made a wonderful job on still working hard to bring a top quality game. Very important to talk about them.
Did he win? Yeah, I think so. This is still really early on in the showcase, though. So this is the story trailer from December of 2023. This was from the Game Awards, so we're getting closer to current time.
I'm here to save a prince.
Are you now?
Oh, boy.
Remember, Sargon. You are a weapon raised to serve Persia.
Prince Hassan has been kidnapped.
Take the lead, Sargon.
You are to leave for Mount Karth at once. Bring him back. Bring back my son.
Your son's dead.
Flows like a river.
I'm your son.
It's strange. It's a maze here, but I feel I've walked this path before.
Farah, are you all right?
I saw our kingdom engulfed in flames. There's nothing you can do to stop me.
Why did you push him over that? Like it matters. We saw this dude get punched through a house.
You seem stronger, but not strong enough to save a friend yet.
The Immortals have failed. Varum is driving a wedge between us.
Sargon, the betrayer!
We took you in and shaped you into an immortal. You turned against us.
I never.
Dude, he hit the game wall. It was weird to see outside of a fighting game.
And clever enough to save your friend.
Was that the prince?
I'll do whatever it takes.
So, I'm pretty sure the story trailer just showed us the whole fucking game. Like, the whole game. Obviously, there's probably, like, a couple more, like, big, crazy-looking bosses, but I'm pretty sure we just saw almost the whole game from beginning to end right there. Here's the gameplay overview trailer from December 13th.
Exciting encounters, technical fights, challenging platforming, and so much more. This is what you can expect in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Ubisoft trying to give Square Enix a run for their money with story spoilers in the
Queen Tomiris.
Step forward, Sargon.
in the trailers.
Quest to save the abducted Prince of Persia trapped
Is that
in
the
a
prince?
mysterious land stuck between time and dimensions.
Something is not right here. We must proceed with caution.
Explore Mount Karth and its ancient city. A non-linear interconnected world filled with dangers, secrets, treasures, and unbeaten paths.
Fucking hate Metroidvania maps, dude.
Sargon's agility lets you move fluidly through the world, overcoming its numerous traps and obstacles. Several paths will be blocked to your progress early in the game, though. Keep track of your exploration and come back later after having unlocked the right time powers.
Yep, welcome to
Over time,
we just
at
made
the
a
heart of the Prince
Metroidvania.
of Persia franchise is back in a new way. Over
Not
the
that that's
course of this
bad.
adventure,
It's just
Sargon
like,
will gather game-changing, time-related
I don't know.
powers.
I feel like the Metroidvania genre has been really, really,
Setting up
really
a
heavily
Sargon to
explored,
which you can
right?
teleport back or even capturing elements in a pocket dimension are but a few examples of how your time powers will help you to face the game's challenges. Speaking of, dozens of threatening undead and mystical creatures roam Mount Koth and its surroundings. Armed with his swords, Sargon can slash through his enemies and perform impressive juggling combos.
Only interested in Ori and Blasphemous at this point. What about Hollow Knight Silk Song?
What's going on?
You can also wield a
that game still technically is supposed to exist at some point.
Combine your attacks and various tools to perform devastating combos. And when your ability gauge fills up, unleash Sargon's wrath to wipe.
Honestly, never bothered to finish the first one. I mean, the first one was pretty chonky. We finished it, but at a certain point, we were just checking off boxes, and it wasn't nearly as good as the first, like, 70% of the game.
And let you switch up your abilities and amulets. Abilities are offensive and defensive powers.
I think the next Metroidvania I'm looking forward to most is Mariachi Legends. Mariachi Legends by Halberd Studios.
Amulets on their side are gear pieces enhancing Sargon's stats and abilities. They go from a weapon upgrade granting you a ranged area of effect attack to gameplay modifiers turning slain enemies into unstable explosives.
You know, I will say for Metroidvanias though, this is really high quality.
Game to create your own ultimate warrior.
Really fantastic animation work. Boss fights look pretty sick. World animation, art design, set design, level design.
So make sure to revisit paths you once thought impossible to explore. Your curiosity will be greatly rewarded. Move quickly across the map with fast travel anchors and keep track of your exploration with memory shards. A new feature letting you pin snapshots of your screen on the overworld map. Make sure to interact with characters.
Your bird has some value to you.
And complete side quests.
What bird?
Various rewards and resources.
Who are you?
Giving you the opportunity to grow in power over the course of your adventure and further customize your playstyle.
That is not Hephaestus. Very close though, but not Hephaestus.
If you feel lost or overwhelmed, make sure to enable some accessibility features, such as the guided mode.
Oh, that sounds like my kind of fucking mode.
On an amazing journey.
If that tells me where to go, fuck yeah, I'm turning that shit on.
Deadly encounters.
I really hate just wandering around lost as shit in Metroidvania games.
The Prince of Persia.
Like, honestly, it's my biggest complaint with them is the amount of my time that they waste by making me wander around and backtrack and, oh, you finally got the double jump, well, now you need to go back over here and then you can go through this area. And now, do you remember all the places that you can use the hook shot at? That video is 9 minutes long. Moving past that one, we will look at this accessibility deep dive, though.
Our approach was to be accessible by design. We have no QuickTime event. We have no color-based feedback. We have big text by default. I think that accessible design is good design.
I agree.
Metroidvania games can be quite hard, and this one can be quite hard too. So we really want the player to keep involved and keep playing the game.
How to make Metroidvania open to everyone? Because of that question, accessibility became a main topic, and we decided to prioritize it early.
We did a lot of playtests of the early builds of the games. We found out that wall jump can be difficult for people that aren't used to platforming games. So we did very small assists that are invisible, but if they weren't there, it will not feel the same way.
Sometimes a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work, and we need to provide options like high contrast for player with low vision.
High contrast is fucking genius. Every game should have that.
The challenge is relative to everyone.
Customizable difficulty, sweet.
Game, but we really want to be sure that everyone can tweak the experience to their fitting.
We designed the game to be challenging but fair. We provided the players with more option to tweak some part of the difficulties because some player wants to have easier fights or easier platforming. So we added these small options to make sure every player can enjoy the game the way they want. Even more challenging games like ours.
High contrast mode, it was the first for Ubisoft game. We had a lot of data to tag. Enemies, allies, the player, all the rewards, traps. So it was a lot of data to process to be sure that people with low vision can play.
I'm glad to see more and more companies doing this. I know it's a burden because it requires additional programming and time and money, but it's such an important thing to add.
The guided mode. The idea is that the players can get lost in the game, can forget what they have to do. So they can activate this mode. It can be temporary, it can be permanent. And they can get some hints, some help, some point of interest that appear on the map and can help them to remember exactly what is the next thing to do, the next quest.
That's helpful for me.
I think the guided mode is a really nice feature for the player because it really helps players that can be intimidated by the exploration and the Metroidvania genre to...
Not intimidation, I just don't like it.
Second way is for the memory shards. The idea is that, as you know, Metroidvania games always have a minimap. And the render is always quite basic because you have to understand the whole world very easily. But sometimes you forget that this particular place in the world looks like this.
One of the defining aspects of the Metroidvania genre is the principle of taking mental notes. There is a blockade path and you need to acquire a new power or have a new tool and come back later. Historically, you had to memorize that path. It can be a cognitive load. It can be difficult to remember what you tried to achieve.
So the player can place a memory shard to remember that this particular place looks like this. So just place the cursor on the point of interest and you can see a full screenshot of the game at this particular position.
I love how simple that is.
And we have cloud saves.
Just fucking take a screenshot and we'll make it easy for you to see that screenshot.
So it was quite a technical challenge too.
Actually, it's a new feature for this kind of games. We've made a lot of tests because we didn't know if the player would use it. And once they get it, they love it. They place them everywhere in the game, they really use it very much.
A lot of players said that it was helpful and that it seems natural. I think it really pushed the boundaries from the genre and I hope to see this feature in other games.
Yeah, you want us to take notes? That's fine. Give me an easy way to take notes.
Helped us along our journey, providing us feedback and knowledge on accessibility. But it was really the team that had the ownership of the accessibility features. The fact that we were a small team by Ubisoft standard, but with big ambition, was not an obstacle for accessibility because every programmers, every designer were owner of their feature and responsible to make them accessible. For example, the programmer who did the fight added an option to automatically turn to the nearest enemies. We gathered learnings from disabled people in a regular playtest. We did some playtests with partners like Cap Games, and we also had some feedbacks at Ubisoft Forward or during our close previews. It helped us to iterate and to improve our accessibility settings like the high contrast, the text size, the difficulty parameters. Most of the accessibility settings will be available in the demo that will be released on January 11th. So we can't wait to see with the community to improve our accessibility settings.
Oh, well, there's a demo available. It's good to know if you wanted to give it a try. All right, and then this is the last one. This is the World trailer, and this just came out a little over about 10 days ago at the time of the recording. This is the latest one that I found.
Sargon, the citadel, pride of the Persian Empire, is no more. I heard about the wretched, inconceivable that lurks in the shadows.
Your mother.
Souls are lost in the sacred archives, forever prisoners of time. No one knows what became of the Hyrcanian forest. The Chidra and vile creatures fester beneath the canopy.
Looks like a good time.
Brave the raging sea and the chaos in its waves. We must break the curse that plagues our kingdom.
Oh.
But there are creatures, gods, banished for their sins. They could doom us all.
Does this game all take place inside that Tower of Souls? Is that what he's trying to say? Game as a parry, I like that. Dang.
Even in the darkest hour, do not lose hope.
All right. Well, that's what we got right now for Prince of Persia. So it is on PC, but unfortunately it's only on the Epic Game Store, which is really shit. But otherwise it's going to be available. Well, I guess it's also on the Ubisoft store if you count that, if you count Uplay as a platform. Otherwise, so Uplay, Epic Game Store, Nintendo Switch, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, and PlayStation 4. It is not on Game Pass. But that's perfectly fine. You know, it's really hard to impress me with Metroidvania games. I'm not super into them as a platform, as a genre, even though I've played more than you would expect for someone who just got done saying, oh, I don't really like them that much. And then I'm like, I played so many. Like, I just haven't played some of the classics. I've not played the old Metroid games or the old Castlevania games, but I played a lot of the more popular Metroidvanias that have come out in the last handful of years. Games like Hollow Knight and Bloodstained, and we've played a handful of others at this point, but they're not games that get me excited. Outside of 9 Years of Shadows, that game got me excited, and I think it's a fantastic game. I did a review, 10 out of 10. If you want more information, go watch the review. But this game looks really good. It doesn't make me want to play it. The only Metroidvania that I've seen that made me want to play it was 9 Years of Shadows and in kind, Mariachi Legends. But this looks like it's probably going to be one of the highest quality Metroidvania games. I won't make a claim to one of the best ones of all time because I don't have the credibility to make that claim, but it does look really, really good. I think they've done a really fantastic job. I really love to see games presenting these accessibility settings. I think it makes a really big deal, and to the people that need them, it's the difference between them being able to play your game and not. And it's not that small of a crowd. It's not just a couple of people. There's a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that have accessibility issues, whether it's with vision or they're unable to button mash because of issues with their wrists, or they're unable to do this or whatever, right? And so having those accessibility options is really, really important, and I'm glad to see at least a lot of the bigger studios taking more time and attention to put them in. I know that smaller studios, it'll probably take them a while to catch up, until there is more general tools that are available. And I don't know what tools are built into engines like Unreal Engine or Unity or Godot or anything like that. So hopefully there are easy ways to implement accessibility into your game through those engines. And if there isn't, hopefully those get added to the base feature set soon, or at least is something that is available through some means or another, so that even people on smaller teams with smaller projects can make that move, so that we get a larger amount of more accessible games, because it is really, really important. And also for some people like me, I'm just like, I don't have accessibility issues. I don't have my hands and wrists and fingers work fine. My eyesight is fine, especially because I had it corrected a handful of years ago. I don't have a need for accessibility issues, but that doesn't mean that I don't benefit from them still. Like looking in here, we are looking at that guided mode, and I'm like, sweet, that'll make me hate your game immensely less. Like that'll take it from being the largest complaint that I have about Metroidvania games is the amount of time that they waste. The time that you lose to getting lost, the time that you lose to trying to figure out where you were before, to where you need to use this power that you just got. And having something that just goes, hey, you should probably go over here. I'll just be like, sick, thank you. Because generally the moment-to-moment gameplay, I largely enjoy. The way the games play in terms of the movement and the combat, I'm normally pretty well fine with. I just hate the feeling of that my time is being wasted by the game, because that's part of the game. But anyway, that's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Releases January 18th on everything except for Steam. But it is on PC, just not on platforms that many people want it to be. But let me know what your thoughts are. How did you feel about Prince of Persia? How do you feel about this game coming out in such a short time frame from its original announcement versus the Sands of Time remake that is lost in the wind? How do you feel about Metroidvania games? How you feel about accessibility settings? I would love to hear from you. If you want to catch up with us on other platforms, I'm on everything. I'm on Twitter still. I don't know why, because there's a lot of people there. That's why. Twitter, Threads. I've been most active on Threads lately. I'm on Blue Sky. We got a Discord. Pick your poison. There's a link to each of them down in the description below, and let's have a conversation, much like the one we've been having with chat, because this video was recorded live on stream, and you can catch us there as well. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. If you want to catch future videos, please subscribe to the channel. If you do watch one of the other videos on the channel, or if I see you in the live stream, thank you and enjoy.